Thank you. Hi, everyone. I think I know a lot of you. For those of you I don't, my name is Hannah Byers, and I am Senior Director of Sotheby's Advisory. I'm actually joined by a couple of my colleagues in the room today. If I could ask them to stand up. They are Catherine Richardson and Molly Nelson here. They gave a roundtable on deaccessioning yesterday, which I think many of you attended. Our department includes museum services, and we have been very happy to support AAMC for the last, I believe, 8 years. So very happy to be here today. This year, I've had the good fortune of working with Judith and her team as co-chair of the benefit committee alongside Mary Kay Lombino. She's at the Francis Loeb Art Center at Vassar College. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the next speaker, Elizabeth Ferrer. Elizabeth Ferrer is the Chief Curator at BRIC. BRIC is about 15 minutes away from here by foot. It actually stands, many people don't know this, it actually stands for Brooklyn Information and Culture. It is 40 years old, over 40 years old, and it makes it the oldest contemporary arts organization right here in Brooklyn. And it's super interesting, and I think incredibly prescient, the work that Elizabeth has been doing for the last 15 years as she's been at the helm. It's so emblematic of exactly the kinds of topics that we've been discussing over the last couple of days. I think Elizabeth's work at BRIC is really a forerunner and can serve as a model for the kinds of work that many of us who work at larger, more bureaucratic institutions within the art world could seek to emulate. So I will not read her bio, which is incredibly impressive, but you can find it on Socio, you can find it in the catalog. I will simply say that BRIC is known for, first of all, championing local artists, many of whom may have had some kind of social or political issues at their work, inherent to their work. They may be less recognized. They also do a lot of work with public access television and media. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Elizabeth Ferrer to the podium.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and I want to thank Hannah for the kind introduction, and also Judith and Lucy and their team. I haven't done a lot of in-person stuff over the last couple of years, so it's really great to see everybody and joined especially for this purpose. So I am going to talk about BRIC, and as Hannah mentioned, it's an let's see if there it is. Okay. It's an arts and media organization in the downtown Brooklyn Cultural District. It is very near here. So if you have a chance, if you're not local, but while you're in the city, please come and check us out. We do a lot, although right now we're beginning to just open slowly. The organization was founded in 1979, really as a kind of a civic initiative. And we started with the Celebrate Brooklyn Music Festival in Prospect Park. This was at a time in the 1970s when honestly it was a little dangerous to go into the park, especially at night. And so a group of civic leaders started the organization with this music festival, which was sort of small and scrawny at first, but it's grown. It's over 40 years old. It's become incredibly successful. It's one of the really signature summer festivals in Brooklyn. We're about to get started with that again. And then BRIC grew from there. The gallery program began in 1981, and we eventually added public access television. We're the public access TV provider in the borough. So here's another view of our building, our entrance. The building was actually built as a vaudeville house, and it's over 100 years old. We received significant city money, and we were able to completely renovate it, including a lot of media infrastructure that's embedded into the building. And we've been in this space since 2013. Prior to that, we had been sort of in different sites around Brooklyn. So coming together in 2013, under one roof was really significant for the organization. And then here you can see inside the building, you see the cafe, lobby, this stairway that we call the stoop, and then the gallery itself, which I'll talk about in a moment. So as Hannah mentioned, we're unique on the cultural landscape in the city in a number of ways. There are a number of organizations that do pair visual arts with performing arts, but we're unusual in also including media. And we present really a range of artwork from, edgy performance that goes kind of all around the building to weekend-long festivals to poetry slams that have become incredibly successful to the more traditional exhibitions and performance works. I just want to say a couple more things about the media, if I can go back. One of the important things about being Brooklyn's media provider is that we have incredible reach. We're in about 1 million households through cable, and while cable is definitely decreasing, we also have a strong digital platform. So we do reach households in Brooklyn, but we really have a reach that's international, and we're able to actually measure that. So we're very proud of the work that we do that can be very, very local and global at the same time. This is a view of the gallery again. There's a set of core values that really inform all our work, whether it's in contemporary art or performing arts. We're highly inclusive in terms of the kinds of artists we work with and the audiences that we seek to draw. And we focus on access, and that's whether in terms of providing free or low-cost programming. There's rarely a charge to enter anything at BRIC except for some of the performing arts projects. And we're also accessible in terms of our current initiative to make the building more accessible to disabled people. We're also committed to equity. We really aim to level the playing field by providing platforms and opportunities for under-recognized artists. And we're also highly collaborative. We're highly collaborative in the community. We partner with a range of organizations on all sorts of initiatives, but we're also collaborative with ourselves. And sometimes that's kind of hard to do. But our multidisciplinary structure allows us to build on one another's programs. So for example, the media team will create video profiles of some of the artists that we're exhibiting, or sometimes the performing arts team will ask us to curate an artwork for the Celebrate Brooklyn Music Festival. And this was light sculpture by Grimanesa Amoros that was on the grounds a couple of summers ago that really became a wonderful gathering place. We have found that these collaborations often are not easy. They need to be very intentional, involve a lot of compromise. But over time, we have found that this approach really strengthens what we can do for artists and enhances the kind of experiences that we can offer to our community. So I could say more, but that's BRIC in a nutshell. And I want to turn more specifically to the gallery and our visual arts program. As Hannah mentioned, the gallery was founded in 1981, which makes us the oldest contemporary art space in Brooklyn. And we were founded because really at that time, Manhattan was already getting very expensive for artists, and artists were moving to Brooklyn for cheap studio space. So there were a lot of artists based in Brooklyn, but they had nowhere to show. Now, ironically, Brooklyn is too expensive for artists, and we do what we can to hang on to them through a residency program, but that's a whole other issue. And here's our gallery space again. It's 3,000, I'm sorry, let me go back. It's about 3,000 square feet. We have very high ceilings. And then we have this stoop space, which really means that the space does double duty. It's a hangout space. We get a lot of high school kids in the afternoon, pre-pandemic times, but we also use it as a site for performances or those poetry slams that I mentioned. Here's another view of the stoops. Like everybody, a lot of our programming has been virtual. We did a lot of programs on Zoom, especially early in the pandemic. We're beginning to move away from that. Our building is opening slowly, although the gallery itself has been open for a little over a year. So the gallery itself focuses on solo and thematic shows, group shows of emerging and mid-career artists, primarily but not exclusively Brooklyn-based. So this is an installation of the BRIC Biennial. We're now actually in the process of turning this into a triennial. This is really kind of our signature big survey of Brooklyn artists that we do every few years. It's quite ambitious. In addition to the exhibition at BRIC, we collaborate with other organizations so that the biennial is at other sites in the borough, making it really ambitious exhibition, and one that's become quite prominent on the Brooklyn landscape. And then we work in other spaces in the building. We have a project room where we present an emerging artist's first solo exhibition. So this is a show that we did a few months ago, Emily Oliveira. Usually what we do is we work with artists who have been in residence with us. And that's one of the strategies that we use to be able to work with artists over time. So we might be able to give an artist a commission. They may have a solo show in the project room, maybe eventually have a major show in the main gallery. So as another example, we commissioned this artist, Joanna Herr, to produce this mural that was in one of our public hallways a couple of years ago. And now Johanna is in residence with us. We run an offsite residency space in Dumbo, where we're able to give year-round residency space to artists. And then we also partner with Prospect Park. You know, I talked about the Celebrate Brooklyn Festival. This is its site. During the fall and spring, it's an empty space. It's a bit bleak. So the park invited us to have an artist create this mural. So this is a mural by Emily, who had that show in the project room. And this is about to be dismantled to make way for the festival. So you can see that band shell is kind of just a small portion of this large build out that we do for this major music festival. And then when the festival ends at the end of summer, we'll be able to have another artist create a mural in this space. So I also want to talk a little bit about our curatorial focus. As I mentioned, we focus on under-recognized artists, especially those that are working outside the commercial gallery system. These are artists who don't survive by selling work. They, often rely on residencies or on teaching jobs or on kind of day jobs outside of the art world to do their work. And we often work with artists who work on social justice issues, but the work that we show is quite broad. It's in all media. So I want to show you a few examples of the kinds of shows you'll see in the gallery. And I'll go kind of quick because I'm afraid my time is now a little tight, but this was an installation by Miguel Luciano, who's a local Brooklyn artist, Puerto Rican. He created this show using vintage Schwinn bicycles, talking about the contentious colonial relationship between Puerto Rico and the United States. So he customized these bikes in all sorts of ways, including this three-wheeled bike that can go neither forward nor backwards, which is a kind of a symbol of the relationship, of the way that Puerto Rico cannot advance. And this bike got acquired by the Smithsonian. And that's the kind of thing that we really take a lot of pride in, because it means we're doing our job in creating that larger platform for artists. We also work a lot with the community. A Puerto Rican bike club came for a day. We had a big event for them in the show. And then I'll switch to this artist, Mary Mattingly, who did this major environmental project with us, where I invited her to have a show, and she responded by saying, well, I have this idea. I want to bring a 19,000-pound cargo vehicle into the space, notwithstanding the fact that we have those stoop steps, but she did it. She bought this vehicle at a scrapyard. She had it taken apart, and she reassembled it. So she took this object with a violent history, and she turned it into an object for good, for creativity. And here you see a performer on the stage. And then there was this big flow chart that marked all of the different sites were minerals and third world labor sites that were kind of implicated in the creation of the vehicle. So kind of this global supply chain that we hear a lot about. So this is the kind of show that we can do that's very risk-taking, and we're also proud of being able to do that. This is a show that I curated about a year ago, Latinx Abstract. And this exhibition was important to me because that's my own specialty, Latinx art. And Latinx artists working with abstraction are not part of the canon. They're not seen as part of American abstraction, and really not part of Latinx art. So this is the kind of show that we do to level the playing field and show what artists are really doing out there based on the research that we do. So I don't think I have time to talk a lot about this, but I'll just conclude here, since I had this one last artist that I wanted to show you, Athena Latoka. This was our last show, a 55-foot long work by an indigenous artist dealing with the environment and change. So she's thinking about the change just in this neighborhood over the last few years, all these skyscrapers that have been coming up, but also change on a more geological scale. So this work contains sediment from Greenwood Cemetery. It contains casts of rocks with global striations. So she's thinking about time on a geological scale. And this exhibition got a huge write-up in the New York Times. It really helped to further this artist's career. And, that's what we like to do and provide in terms of, we're kind of a medium-sized organization, but we hope that the artists we work with can move on to bigger and better things. I think that artists are really appreciative of BRIC because I think they know that art and artists matter there. And I think for our audiences, they see us as an accessible, very welcoming space. And it's a place where you're always going to discover something new. So with that, I'll close. I hope that you have a chance to visit BRIC. And it was really wonderful for me to be able to tell you a little bit about my organization. Thank you so much.